Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and good morning, my dear students. This is Miss Raisa, your social studies teacher, grade 5. Today we shall discuss about unit 4 that says today and the future. We are discussing about lesson 2 that says culture and the art. We can find these lessons from textbook page 114 until 117, activity book page 62 to 60. Every lesson has its objectives. The objectives for these lessons are to identify the significant examples of art, poetry and literature from the Middle Eastern history. Objective number 2, to explain how examples of art, poetry and literature reflect the times during which they were created. Of the lesson. As we know, long time ago, people did not have all the technology that we have today. So, there was no way these people could share their stories through videos, cameras, or even books. So to pass stories from a generation to another, it was not easy. The only way and mostly used way was the oral tradition. What is the meaning of oral tradition? Oral tradition means to pass stories by only listening and telling. Oral means also the spoken stories or the poems which were given from one generation to another. So you can see how tough it was long time ago. Today we can get all what we need from the internet, the books and the teachers. But long time ago we were only using oral tradition. The pictures here, there is picture A, picture B and picture C. From these three pictures there is something common if you look at them. In every picture there is an older person. In every picture there is an older person, and also in every picture there are small boys listening to the older person. Another thing you may observe from this picture is that the older person is using gestures or using hands to explain something. From these two observations we can tell that the older person is explaining or giving a story to the younger generation. This is enough evidence that people were only sharing story through listening and speaking in the past. We can all see that before the coming of Islam, the Middle East poetry and literature was mostly influenced by stories from India and Persia. Some of the famous stories that came from the Middle East region are the Shahnameh and 1001 Arabian Nights. This story is very famous. It is also called in Arabic Al-Fulayla Ulayla. It's a very famous story. You must have seen it and watched it somewhere. However, the rise of Islam changed the literature of our region. Islam discourages a number of things. One, Islam discourages romantic poetry and stories. When the Quran became the most important book and the people stopped many things. So the coming of Quran really changed the literature of the Middle East. In this slide we are seeing Aladeen. Aladeen is a very famous character in the Middle Eastern stories. Usually he is a character who participates together with Sinbad. And for most of you who must have watched this series of 1001 Arabian Nights, in Arabic we call it Alfu Layla wa Layla, you must have seen Aladeen and Sinbad as the main characters in the Arabic stories. So we can see the Arabs were good in literature, in poetry, and even in arts. That's why they were able to design and produce good characters like Aladeen and having seen about the characters of the Middle East, in this slide we shall discuss about calligraphy and the illuminated manuscripts. This is part of the art that the Arabs were very good at. Calligraphy. What is calligraphy? Calligraphy is the art of beautiful decorative writing. This is a part of art or literature that was used to decorate the writing. So the Arabs are also good in calligraphy. What about illuminated manuscript? Illuminated manuscript, this is the decorating of manuscripts with extra patterns, usually in the bands around the page. We are all using this kind of art to make our final work beautiful and attractive to people. Now in the next slide we shall see how the Arabs did this. We tried to define about illuminated manuscripts and the calligraphy in words. In this slide we shall try to see in pictures what they really mean. The pictures on the left hand side, they are referring to illuminated manuscript. Look at the pictures. Around the edges of the book, around the edges of the picture, around the edges of a page, there are some very good decorations. This is what we call illuminated manuscript. And really, if you look at them, they are presentable and very good if you look at them. Let's come to calligraphy. This is just the normal Quran. But look at how good it is. When presented or written in calligraphy, Quran is really good looking. So the Arabs were also good in this kind of decorations. This is their part of art. Okay, we have seen how the Arabs were good in matters about culture and art. And all this, we have tried to show the evidence that the Arabs were good in culture and art. Thank you for following me, and feel free to contact me in case you need any help.